I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBN, we uncover a hidden side of Civil War history through an amazing book. It is called Elissa's Legacy, and it is written by a terrific author. His name is JohnAUrsillo. This powerful historical novel explores the little known truth of women who disguise themselves as men to fight on the battlefield, risking everything for country and cause. Blending meticulous research with personal legacy, this story speaks to honor, heritage, and the enduring spirit of those who serve. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. John, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. I'm pleasure to be here. Absolute pleasure.
Pleasure to have you on the show. Fascinating part of American history. I think people had little idea that something like this happened. How did you first find out about women who dress like men in order to fight in the Civil War?
Well, I'm a student of the Civil War. You can see from the books behind me, I have a lot of books, and a great number of them are from the Civil War. I just studied it for years. I originally began that when I was in the Army, and I was able to visit a couple of battlefields. And I was stationed in Alabama at first, and they're still fighting the war down there. And so that's basically it. I got into it, and I just really loved the subject. Love the subject.
And I understand your daughter's work with the VA influenced your research and writing somewhat.
Yes, yes, she did. She really helped me a lot. Yeah, yeah. That's Angela. She's my daughter.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, how many women did this? Was it a very uncommon practice? Is it, dozens of people? Was it 100 people? Tell us a little bit about these women.
It's unknown. The number is really unknown. Although at the end of the Civil War, the U.S. government gave 400 women pensions for having fought in the Civil War as men. So that's kind of odd, but at least gives us an idea of the number. It was there. Um, it was probably a little bit more broad than that, and a lot of maybe some of the women didn't get their pensions or whatever,
Mm.
but some did die. We know that,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, but they served the country.
Amazing. Talk to us a little bit about the memoir by Emma Edmonds and how you discovered it and the implications on your work.
It came about kind of serendipitously. My daughter and a friend of hers were thinking about writing a screenplay.
Mhm.
And so they brought me in because I knew something about the period, and they said, "Well, what about this?" And so I told them, it's a really good story. And one of the persons I knew that had been one of the women, it was Emma Edmonds. Edmondson is her name is sometimes spelled. She wrote a book in 1864 that chronicled her activities during the war. I
Mm.
have a copy of that book. I bought it from a antique book dealer. It's an original signed by her, and it's in a little tough shape, but it's very readable.
Wow.
Uh, Extremely readable book. Very some in some places very frightening from
Hmm.
what the ladies went through.
Yeah. What were some of the frightening episodes that you read about in that book?
Well, outside of the fact they're getting almost shot by 58 caliber weapons, it's that's part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
The other part is that they're women and they're among men, and
Mhm.
that's not always a good mix.
Yeah.
Uh, the information doesn't really deal very much with the that part of their problems because I mean men are men, and it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. But that's pretty. One of the thing I did find out is that the men in the units where these women were, they knew they were women,
Mm.
obviously, and they were very protective of these ladies. It's like anything else, men are protective of their females,
Yeah.
and even in a combat situation, they're protective.
Yeah.
So.
or perhaps even especially in a combat situation. Talk to us
especially.
about the title, Alyssa's Legacy, and what it means.
Illicit Legacy. It's the book really starts with the a finding of genitals, okay, that were given to a woman, and it becomes a passed down thing. It's a very precious set of journals that have been passed down through a family, and it's the time at the time of this that the book is written in. Um, there's a crisis in the family. The young woman who was named Elissa has lost her husband, who was killed in an automobile accident or vehicle accident in Kuwait. So she's really not really want to stay around very much. She wants to die. So and her mother takes her on into a right down to the place in Virginia where the big story takes place, and then where the Elissa of the book, um, did her thing. Um, and it's that's how it gets. That's the legacy part, because the
Yeah.
mother hands Elissa the books.
Hmm.
That's the legacy.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's how
Yeah.
the
Talk to us a
subject.
little bit about blending fiction with real historical truths.
You have to be careful sometimes with that, because there are people out there who can pick up the untruths very quickly. Civil War readers are sometimes very picky.
Mhm.
Um, you just have to use common sense, and you also have to go back and read some of the documents that were written, and especially about the men and about the women and what they went through. And you just got to develop a feel for it. What was the relationship between them? Okay,
Mm.
were they antagonistic? Were they receptive? Were they too receptive?
Mhm.
Yes, in all three. It could depended on the woman, depended on the man, and depended on what they were going through.
Yeah.
They were in combat, absolutely in combat.
Talk to us
And
a little bit about your own family's military history.
well, my dad was World War II Seabee. He was in the Pacific, and he loves to talk his stories about it. I got him to sit down with me over a series of meetings, and I actually wrote a book about his exploits.
Mm.
It's called a Seabee story. He
Cool.
loved it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't publish it, of course, but that's basically how you get going in with something like this.
Yeah.
It's also almost serendipity. You don't you that painting behind me is
Mhm.
is a with the woman in the green dress. That's Alyssa. That
Wonderful.
came that came before the book.
Very cool. Very cool. So the image in a part inspired the book. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to go to Civil War reenactments, not as a reenactor, but as a spectator. And I
Mhm.
met this woman, and I asked her if I could take pictures, and yes, I could. And I hung it for a long time, and then she eventually became the Alyssa.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's very
Have
cool.
you envisioned Alyssa's legacy as a film, perhaps?
Every author does, I think.
Yeah.
This one would have to be an epic because it's so long. And yeah, yeah, kind of, but not seriously.
Yeah.
It would be nice, but
Hey, you never know. You put the work out there, it could get picked up, it could get turned into a mini series or something like that.
it's
Like I
true.
said, it's kind of an overlooked part of history.
Yeah,
So I think it'd be fascinating to people. And even learning about aspects of American history, such
yeah,
as
yeah.
Dorothea Dix and her role in it all.
That's right.
Talk to us,
Exactly.
tell the audience a little bit about her accomplishments.
Dorothea Dix was a woman who was the head of the nursing corps during the early part of the Civil War. She was appointed by President Lincoln, and she basically drew into her organization women who were interested in doing nursing. Now, that was not as fine a practice back then as it is now. Nursing back then was pretty crude.
Yeah.
And she she had some rather tough requirements on her ladies. They couldn't be under 30 years old. They must dress without having the hoop skirts, uh, and it was very tight. She was a very tight commander, uh, and she was very successful. The She is really the mother of American nursing.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
What message do you hope future generations take from this book?
Uh, I never really gave that a thought, but I think they should learn that it's the country, it sometimes needs everybody to fight for it. Okay? Not just the men, it needs the women too. World War II happened, that happened too. And we're part of the whole big country here. I mean, the Army just had its 250th anniversary, and that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it would just like to get a consciousness of the history of this country. That period is very involved and it's very critical. We almost ended up as two nations on this continent, and that would have been very bad for us
It's
as a
amazing
society.
how politically divided we were. I mean, I watched the
Absolutely.
celebration of the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. I thought it was a beautiful tribute to the
Yeah,
men and women who've made great sacrifices to this country or for this
absolutely.
country and are still serving today.
That's
And
right.
yet there were protests all against around the country
Uh,
against it, you
there's
know?
always protests. They're out there all the time, I was especially interested in watching because I was in the Army.
Mhm.
Uh, I served 7 years and as a explosive ordnance disposal and got out with all my fingers and toes. And
Thank
and
goodness.
I got out as a captain. So it was and I enjoyed every hour, every minute of it.
Amazing. How many years did you serve, sir?
I served total years. Yes.
And was that
Uh,
during the Vietnam era?
yes, it was.
Yeah.
I never made it to Vietnam because part of the EOD training at that time was nuclear weapons.
Mhm.
We knew everything about nuclear weapons, and we could not go to a place where we could be captured. So that immediately ruled out Vietnam and anything else in the Far East, which
Note
is
to
okay.
myself, if there's ever a draft, study nuclear. I'm teasing. Obviously, far too old for the draft, but that was kind of a serendipitous kind of good luck. But
Yes, it
certainly,
was.
you served our country valiantly over the 7 years that you were there. Um, Tell me about your writing career. Is this your first time writing a book? Are you planning on writing more?
I've written short stories. I wrote short stories when I was in high school. I've never written a full book. This was the second book. The first one was the one I referred to as our father's doings in the Pacific, which was a lot of fun to write. There's a lot of research involved in that, and there's a lot of research involved in Elissa too. Tremendous amount of research because you really have to ferret out some of the details. You know, e- People want to really. I think people want to, especially for females, want to really know what goes on. Um, you know, what did they face? And a lot of these ladies died. They were killed,
Well, it
and
was a
so
deadly, deadly conflict, the Civil War. I
absolutely,
think the nation's
absolutely,
deadliest conflict, correct?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It was one of our
Yeah.
worst. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Uh,
all taking place on our own soil, which is horrifying as well. The name of the book is Alyssa's Legacy. It is an unforgettable novel that brings hidden Civil War history to light through a lens of courage, sacrifice, and generational honor. John, thank you so much for your service to this nation, and thank you so much for joining me here today.
and thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and your wisdom as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.